Professor, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? We good?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. All right, so we got the three here. There's three different looks. Which favorite do you have of these? I mean, these are obviously variations on the three.
They're all so different. I
I
don't have
know.
a favorite actually.
Huh?
I don't have a favorite.
I have favorite. Okay. I personally, I went right to this one. This
Okay.
the MX and the eagle.
Yeah.
Assuming right, and then the go. Only thing I would recommend on this is maybe a little bit thicker line here. This stroke going around it. You're gonna have to give it some more gap. So when you make the stroke thicker on this, let me see if I can open it up here. When you make that stroke thicker, it's going to get really tight around here. Okay, so make sure you're giving yourself a little bit of gap. Like this gap is nice. Okay, so just watch it as you make it. But I think this works really nice. It's very visually appealing, and like I said, I think it totally works. It just would make this stroke thicker, so it feels like it's supposed to be there. Does that make sense? Not super thick, but just a little bit thicker. You'll see it. You'll be like, oh, that's too much. Oh, that's where it was. It's not enough. Type of thing. But there's something very,
Just like give it some space.
yeah. There's something really cool about that. Does that make sense? I went right to that one when I opened it up. So, and I think that works. These just, it's got a plane, whatever. This one just feels like it needs a little more. I think the flowers could work, but you almost have to put like something like this MX Go at the bottom here just to kind of tie it together. But I think this was my first choice looking at them. So if you want to go with something else, that's fine. But I like, that's me. Again, it's not for me. This is for you guys. Work that up and see if you are happy with that. And then just send it again. That's cool. Like I said, we're totally good with this. Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so yes, I'm getting them. As you can see, they're still coming in, and I will get those. I'll give you a quick yes, got it, as I save these up and get that back to you. Let me get back to here. We're done with that. Okay. All right, other questions? Other questions?
Yeah, the poster assignment we're gonna do in relation to this one. Are we also gonna be doing that in InDesign?
Yes, that'll be InDesign also.
All right.
Yes, and I apologize. I'll give you the specs. What are we? Let me just look at my calendar. We're fine.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I know. I feel I want to make sure I give it to you guys in time. We'll probably be somewhere around the 1st that it'll be due, and then we've got, I think class ends on the 8th for you guys. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, because then I will give us the InDesign project. I'll do that next week. So you'll have 3 weeks, 4 weeks of work on that even. So yeah, we'll have time. No sweat on that. Yeah, we're getting near the end, but we have time to finish it all up and make things happen the way we need them to be.
All right.
Okay. Other questions, concerns, issues? Okay. Wednesday, it's kind of nice this week. There's no Thursday. So remember, tomorrow, Thursday, holiday. If you have classes on Thursday, it's a school holiday tomorrow, which is nice. Yeah, I'll need more holidays. Life is short. All right, so we're gonna get back into InDesign today, and all the videos have been downloaded to my computer. I got most of them up online into YouTube, but I gotta link them up onto the website. I don't know if I put up Mondays or not, but I got everything. I'm gonna get all that up to date and look for that in the next day or so. Everything up to date from Monday's class with the recording. And again, it should be, I think it's up on YouTube now, but we'll get that to you. All right, questions that have come up since Monday about InDesign or anything?
Yeah, a bit of a question about like InDesign. You said that
Yes.
if you do something on one page, it'll move over to the next page if you like overextend.
Yes.
With text, obviously it goes from the bottom of the right side to the top of the left side on the next page. My question is, how would
Yes.
it handle like photos being on 2 pages?
Well, let me show you that real quick. So again, the article, like in this case, this article continues down over to here, but it can go to another page, meaning I can make it go to 3 pages ahead or 4 pages ahead. So when you get to an article, and it might say continue on page 22, you just simply make that link to another page. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the next page. Again, most of the times it is, but it doesn't need to be. Okay, you can jump it ahead to a whole new part or section of the magazine, for example. Right, article continues on page 82. So if you flip to the back, you'll find the rest of the article that's there. Most times, for the sake of ease and convenience, we'll just continue. So the article continued here, and then we're going to just kind of have, again, go to the next column over here on the adjoining page. In this case, it's page 2. Okay. So your question was a photograph. So basically, I'm going to just draw a photo box in, and I'm going to go Command D or place, and I'm going to give it a photo. Let my computer catch up here. Hold on. Let's use that one. There, balloons. Okay, so we've brought that photo in, and now I need to fit it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my frame fitting tools. Okay, and again, this brings it in proportionally. Yeah, you see it doesn't fill the whole box. Okay, if I want to fill the whole box, I click this one, but there is some distortion going on. Okay, a little bit. It's not a huge amount, but again, from a design sense, this may be fine. But again, remember, if there are people involved, we start to see that distortion that's happening. Okay, so I'm just going to put it back to filling the content. So basically, in this case, it's a horizontal picture. It's going to fill right to left, and I'm going to adjust the frame to actually fit that photo in case I need it later to be something. And now the picture is going to be on 2 pages simply because I put it there. That makes sense. So you would never, you really wouldn't do something like where the picture's here and then it continues, but you could literally, if I wanted to make this picture go to the back side, so you got to remember where the pages are folding, I would literally just kind of copy this and I would put it over here. And I would, again, you have to be pretty accurate with the centers and stuff like that, but it would be that way. Get that lined up in the center. There we go. So this half of the picture is shown here, and this half is shown over here. And in reality, this is what we see, right, on that picture page. And I'm leaving it big, and I would probably just for the bleed, but that's kind of what it would look like. It's kind of weird because you don't see the whole thing. Typically, you just kind of have the whole picture that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, there is
Thank you.
no you can kind of do what you want, right? You can even turn pictures, right? I can turn this, make it go off the page for that matter. So we're not limited to the positioning of a picture or an object. And likewise, even text we can rotate. Because again, it might be some kind of, you're doing some really cool layout. And let's see, we got this here, and then maybe let me move that back. I'm going to put this back to normal. Okay, but maybe there's a little article here that's like, something on hot air balloons. I'm just going to enlarge that so we can see it. I'll give it a little bit bigger font. Do that, and let's say we're here. And then I might want to, have that text follow the picture. Okay, so I can kind of align that there, which is totally doable, right? It's no reason you couldn't do that, and it would still make sense, and people will be able to read it. Okay, so you can kind of get a little creative in that sense, to go with this kind of thing. Or you can, you can literally go kind of just sideways, right? It's like, why not, right? If you're going to be crazy and a little bit creative, you could do that. So you could put this in. I'm going to just scale that down so it's a little smaller. Oops. It's weird doing it this way. And I'm going to just copy some words off of here. I'm just pasting those in. And we're just going to make the whole thing a little bit larger. Okay. We'll do this some really big lettering just to have it. And so you could have text just going sideways, right? It's like, it's just kind of avant-garde kind of stuff, but there's no reason you couldn't do it that way. Now, you could add, I would probably in this case maybe add a stroke around it. It's not good necessarily to do strokes on the text box or even fills on the text box, because when we do that, remember, we get those weird edges where the text is right on the edge, right? So if I did a stroke fill, you can see where that text is right on the edge. And that really kind of creates some visual problems. Okay, so I could indent it, but all that, but typically what I would do is just give it no stroke there. I would then come back with one of those boxes, just kind of put a box around it, and I can draw it to what I want. I'm going to give it no fill, so it's empty. And then, in this case, I'll make it a black stroke. And we'll give it a little bit of thickness. And that's there. Okay, so I can select both of these and I can actually group them. So there's this object group, right? Yeah, Command G. Okay, so I can literally Command G and I can move them around together. And it's just kind of this kind of cool avant-garde kind of feel. What it makes you do is have to twist the magazine to read it. Okay, so it makes it kind of almost interactive, right? And you can even do something like, again, we're not doing it now, but you could do something where if it was a digital format, like it was going to be on an iPad, as you turn the iPad, the picture actually changed. Okay, so you can actually get into that kind of craziness where right now you're looking at something horizontal, but when you flipped it, you can basically tell the computer to flip the picture also. Okay, so there are possibilities with it. Again, it's a little bit more advanced, but those kind of cool things are doable. Okay, and again, I think you have to start to think that way. It's obviously it's a little bit more work, but as we start to get into more and more mobile devices and mobile as to how we're reading and interacting, it just makes more sense to kind of do that kind of thing. And you've probably encountered that stuff already, where you turn something horizontal, and even some people will do that with, I don't know, on their iPhone, like for Instagram, turn the picture phone horizontal to see the full frame, whatever. Okay, but it's just another way to kind of interact and get people to kind of be working with you. Okay, so there are no limits on placement of text and or pictures. You can do all kinds of fun things. So today I want to kind of go through text wrapping around a little bit, that type of thing. So again, as we just a quick review, to put in text, just kind of draw in a text box, okay? And then you're just going to paste text in there. And I'm just going to copy some text from over here. Oops. Just going to drop it in, Command D, paste it in. And again, you can have your typeface. You select it out, whatever you want. Do that. I did Arial, and we can pick our sizes. Okay, and we can correct our leading. Okay, and this is the tracking for the letter words. So -50 will bring them together. Let me zoom in so you can see that. So in this case, it's bringing it very, very tight. -100 is going to overlap things. They're so tight, they're kissing each other. Okay. Again, that might be good for a visual style. It's hard to read, but visually it might be good for something. Likewise, if you track it out, it gets a little weird to read sometimes too. Okay. So that's what this does. If you need to kind of shrink things down a little bit, you can do that. Okay. You can kind of reduce or increase the spacing here in the line itself. Okay. This is the actual leading. I'm sorry, the tracking, the kerning rather, where your spaces between. Okay. And again, you can, it's usually preset optical and metric. It's just how the computer was set up, the program was set up. This will distort. Okay, so you can see it's enlarging. Okay, and this is going to stretch it out. Okay, again, I would be very careful with these two settings. It's not to say you can't do it, but be careful when you're doing it. Okay, so it may be something like we're using it on maybe a headline, so it's only done to a small degree, because it just makes it harder to read. Okay, I mean you put all that time into finding the right typeface, and then you kind of track things out or spread things out. It just gets a little weird. So it's not, again, not to say you can't, but just be careful of that. This is a tilting. Okay, so even if you don't have an italics, you can kind of tilt it over. So again, the computer's doing that for you. Okay, so you can kind of give it an italic look. Put that back to 0. This is if you have a, like, just like the picture says, pulls the letter up. So we're going to do squared. So we're going to say the 2 is squared. And you can see it's moving it up. Okay. So if you need to manually move things up, or you can actually move things down with the negative. Okay, it goes below the baseline. Okay, so that's what this is here, up or down with that. Okay, so you're maybe doing a footnote or some kind of mathematical formula with that. Okay. Now it also does some presets down here. You can kind of see where if I put that 2 in and I do it here, it makes it smaller, superscript. Okay, so you can make it smaller. That's a good thing. Likewise down here for a subscript. Okay, so like for a footnote, you can manually do it, or you can have the computer do it. Okay, that's what these two do. This will make it all caps. Okay, so it just kind of saves you some time. This will make it the first letter all caps. So anything that was capitalized stays large, and then all the other letters go to all caps, but they're like reduced scale. Okay, so the X height, the height of the letter form itself, is basically the size of the lowercase. Okay, so it's not making these lower cases smaller, it's just kind of turning them into all caps and putting it in. Okay, so again, that might be something you want to do for some kind of headline or such. Okay, if you don't want it, just turn it off right there. Underline, if you need an underline through something, that will do that. And of course, if you need a strike through, that's what that one does. Okay. I can't tell you I've done it a lot, but there might be some kind of graphical need for that. Okay, so those are all under your character style if you need those kind of options. Okay, questions on any of that? That makes sense, kind of going through that again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so let's say, I'm just going to move this out of the way. We'll get rid of that. Let's say we want to put a picture of the lightning in here in this article, and we want it to be here, and we want it to be a circle, and we want the text to kind of wrap around. So in this case, you can pick, again, either one of these, but I'm going to do the X because, again, I like to use the X one for a photograph. And I'm just going to hold the shift key as I draw, and it's going to give me a circle. Okay, and I can give it a fill just to kind of get things going. And as I can see here, it's not moving the text. It's simply on top of the text. So this is where I come back to my text wrap. And if I do this wrap around, you see it gives me kind of a straight box. Okay, but what I'm thinking about is I want the text to kind of come in between and kind of move over a little bit. So in this case, I'm going to use around the shape. And as I did that, you can kind of see the text now kind of goes around. Now, the problem is when I zoom in here, you'll see the text is right up to the shape. Okay, so that kind of creates some visual problems to read. So again, we can buffer it with kind of like a margin right here. So we're just putting this up, and you can see that kind of light line here, which is showing you the distance or the gap that's created around, in this case, the shape. Okay, and then of course I can add into this shape a photo. All right, so I'm just going to select that shape, and I'm going to just place, Command D. And we come back over here, and what are we going to do? The iceberg. Okay, so we drop the iceberg in. And again, I come back now to the fitting, right? You can see there's what happens if I do the proportional. Again, with the round thing, it's kind of weird, right? This one's distorting it. This will fit the frame to the picture, right? That's kind of weird. That happened. I didn't want that one. Okay, so you're really kind of fitting it into the frame this way. And if I double click on the photo, you'll see I get this kind of yellow orange line. And what that's showing me is really how big the picture is compared to what I'm actually seeing in the frame. And the cool thing about that is because I've highlighted that, I can now move it. So I'm not moving the shape or the frame. I'm now just moving the picture within the frame. Okay, so I can now move the picture right, left, up, and down to kind of fit that in. Okay. All right. So I can magically move those around. So if I double click on this, for example, right there, it's been resized. Okay, but if I stretch that picture bigger, you can see now the picture is enlarging and this yellow line is enlarging to show you the picture. And I can move that around within there. So in this case, now I have more mountains, less sky. Okay, so I can resize the picture within the frame by doing that. So if you click on a picture sometimes and you want to move the photo, you got to again watch to make sure you get those outside lines, those yellow. So it's basically double clicking on the photo. If for some reason you did that and you start moving, like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Again, Command Z, because you wanted to move the whole thing. So just click once, and now you can move that photo with the frame itself anywhere you want. Okay, so that's where you would kind of go through and do adjustments. You may go like, I don't like these last letters floating over here. So maybe I'm going to move this around to get a better position with that. Okay. Or maybe I'm going to do something like I'm going to increase the margins around it. Okay, so I can do that here around the frame. Okay. Likewise, if I didn't want that, if I just wanted the text to curve with no picture, I can delete the picture, and I could have a color box, or I could have no color box, and the text will still wrap around. So if I go to preview mode to show you what this looks like, it just looks like there's something there, but there's nothing there. Does that make sense? And I could adjust this one to come down so I keep that flat. Okay, so there's a curve, there's a circle in there, but it's not. Okay, and again, I can enlarge that if I want to. Okay, and I could even go to a point where I can, let me make my circle a little smaller. You can make text go all the way around it. Okay. Okay, so now this text is going in a circular shape around this. Okay, so we can, again, it makes it a little weird to read, but it might be something visually interesting to do like that. Okay, so you can kind of create different layouts and different views based upon what you're doing, and we can use these boxes or shapes to do that. Okay, so long as I give it a text wrap, okay, and if I give it zero fill or no color, now we've got this wrap, okay, that we can kind of create some dynamic stuff going on. Get rid of that one. And maybe I just, for some reason, want that one box to come in, okay? Put the edge there. So you can do something like that. So there's a lot you can do visually. And so it's not just rigid squares or rectangles that you're putting text in, and or for the photographs. Okay, so we can do these cool shapes and so forth. We can even create our own shapes. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me just get rid of that box in there. Again, I made it white. Let me do the preview, turn that preview off so I can find it. Okay. So let's say I want to put some kind of weird box in. I can then come to my pen tool and I can actually do something like that. And then I can give it a wraparound and I can increase the size. Okay. And again, it's just kind of this weird shape that's going on. And I could literally, I can place a picture in there too. Again, I'm just picking a JPEG because they load up the fastest. And We'll do that. And then we have some room to pull that up. And again, I'm not moving the frame, I'm just moving the picture within the frame. Okay. And I think, let me just see here. Yeah, you can. So here's the picture. This is in typical mode. When we talked about the other day, it was hard to see all. Typical, and you can see, look how pixelated. You're going, oh my God, what happened to my picture? Right, that's something wrong there. Well, if I go to high quality, you see it made it much, much better. Okay, it's again because the computer is processing. It takes more to process this into a high quality image than to do it as a typical thing. Okay, so it's pixelated, but it's there in the best quality. It's just showing you kind of a preview that's more pixelated because it's faster for the computer to work. Okay, so that's really why that's there. Again, if it's just a small document, doesn't make much difference. But if you're dealing with, hundreds of pages or hundreds or thousands of photographs, being able to switch that back and forth, it speeds up the computer and allows you to work much faster. You're not sitting there waiting for the computer to process that image. Likewise, as we did this with a photo, copy this. You can also do the same thing with text. Okay, so text does not need to be in text can be in shapes of boxes also. Okay, so that's possible to do that, to add extra things in there. We'll make a round shape. As you can see now, we put text into a circular shape. If I don't want to fill, come back to no fill. And now we've just got text in here. And because this has got a margin around it, it's going to adjust it, but we can pull that text over here. And again, I can even adjust it so there is it's kind of in there, and we've got a frame. So let me give it a frame to the stroke. Okay, so I can put text in wherever I want. That got weird. What did I do there? Oh, that got weird. There we go. Okay. All right. So we're not limited. Just because, again, it wants to go square, it's easy, doesn't mean that you have to. Okay, you can adjust these things and make them well enough. All right, so there's another tool up here, the gap tool, which I didn't show you about. And what that does is it moves things. So right now we have this kind of gutter. Remember, to the gutter, the gap between columns that I just kind of made. Okay, but I can move that. Okay, but with the gap tool. Okay, I'm allowed to move that in and out. All right, so it's basically moving that gap to where I want. In this case, I'm just kind of moving the whole columns. If I just kind of select and move, it does that. And if I hold the command down, I can make the columns bigger or smaller, take them away. Okay, so I can increase the column. It's not, oops, it's not changing the other ones because I didn't do it. It's only in this case where this gap is. Okay, and that might be a good thing here with the gap tool. Let's say for the photographs. So if I do the gap tool in here, I'm actually increasing the gap between the photo and the top of the page. So I'm able to make some adjustments. And here I'm making adjustments between the column of text and the photograph. Okay, so I can make those kind of adjustments. So it's kind of a quick way of moving things in and out. Hold the command key, that will move them greater or less. Just kind of hover over and move, it moves the whole columns, keeping the identical space or gap that you had. Okay, so it's just kind of a quick way of moving things. And this really works out nice when you start to have a couple pictures. So let me, I'm going to import some pictures here down on these last two pages. So let me do place, excuse me, and I'm going to pick 4 pictures because I know these are all the same size. I'm going to say open, and you'll notice on my cursor now, it says 4. So they're loaded onto my cursor, and there's a little photo icon, and next to that says 4. So as I hit 4, it drops them. Each time I click, it will put one in place. Okay. So now I've got these 4 photos. In this case, they're all the same size. So I'm going to actually select them all, and I'm going to actually scale them. Oops. Down. Okay, and I want to autofill. So now we've got those 4 photos, and I'm just going to select them, and I can align them all. So I want to, let's say, oops, I moved the picture, not the line frame. Okay, so I can select these 2, and I've got those 2 selected, little blue spots, and I can come up here to align. Again, I'm under properties, and we can give those a top align. Okay, and likewise, I can do the same thing down here, just selecting. I'm going to give them a top align, and I'm just going to move them over. And they're close, but they're not. So at this point, I'm going to align these 2. We could do those right. I'm going to align these 2 also right. And we've got them. And now I can even come in here with the gap tool and move things around if I want to. Okay. So I'm going to select these 2 over here. I'm going to pull them over, select these 2, pull those over. And I've got a gap up and down, but the right to left is kind of off. And then I can come in here. Gap. What's that? And I can pull that up and down. Okay, so I can make those gaps bigger or smaller to kind of align things. Okay, so that's kind of where we get into there. So we can move things around, we can put things the way we want on the page, and we're able to adjust them and kind of line things up. And again, this is again using the line tool. Okay, likewise, I could do the same thing. So in this case, let me zoom in and show you what I did. I held down the shift and command, I get this little kind of weird icon. And if I draw that out, it's showing you these kind of squares. And that's basically where they're going to put pictures in. Okay. And I can also use the arrows right and left to resize these boxes. We're going to reshape the numbers. So right now we're 3, we're 9 total. I'm going to make that. I'm just going to get, that's 2. It's 4, it's too many. And I'm going to go left. Okay, so now we've got 6 boxes that are drawn in. Okay, I only need 4. I only got 4 pictures. So let me do this. Four pictures. And if I just kind of drag it to where I want, and if I let go of the mouse, it's going to load the 4 pictures that we selected in there. Boom. Okay, so now they're all perfectly aligned and they're in the same shape and same size. Okay, that fit that frame that I created. So that's the Shift Command key as I'm loading those pictures. It will also do it over here. I think if I do it this way, so what I'm doing here is I'm just holding the shape. Let me do that again. I've just picked the square. I'm doing it with the rectangles in it. And I drew it out. Okay, I drew it out to whatever size I might want, but I want to make it evenly broken up. And I'm just going to use the arrow keys on my computer, up and down, right and left, to give me boxes. Okay, and it will basically geometrically break those up. Okay, so we've done that. It dropped them in. I'm going to give them a fill just so we can see them. Okay, and we could put pictures in these or whatever, or they could be just geometric shapes, but I can also come back here with the gap tool and kind of rearrange things. Okay, so that's where I can kind of up and down with things to make some really cool geometric objects. And again, each one is individually done, so I could put in different pictures or I could make them different colors. Okay, but I could just place one picture into this one, Command D, and then I can, pick another one. And then I can come back in here and you can see the yellow outline of the photo that's showing you how much room I have to play with. Okay, so I can kind of keep building this up. So maybe he's over, we got half a head. All right, and then in this one, we'll do the same thing. Something like that. Okay, so again, you can get creative with your stuff. And again, this will be kind of hard to do sometimes in Photoshop, but here I'm just using one picture and I'm breaking it up. I'm slicing it up here in InDesign. And I can come up with some visual fun. And likewise, because it's here, you can see it's staying interactive with that gap tool. Okay, so I can move things in and out should I want to modify. All right. So it is a pretty versatile type of tool. All right, questions on any of that? No, no.
I have some. I'm just
Yes,
not
please.
sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
Just
just not
ask.
sure
Don't
how
worry,
to-
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure just how to phrase it. Like, honestly, it just kind of confuses me. Mainly the splitting part with the Ed Sheeran one. Yeah, I'm just kind of confused. I'm not sure how to put it into a question.
What confuses?
Uh,
Everything?
yeah, kind of.
Everything. Okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
So, do you get how to make a text box and put text in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you understand how to make a photo box or pick one of these 2 boxes, tools, and put a photo in it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the basics. Honestly, that's it. And then it's just moving things around. Okay.
Oh, so you essentially make you essentially split a photo box and then separate them.
In this case, what I was doing down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, there's two ways to do it. One, you can just kind of like, I'm trying to work a design up into my head. I'm like, I want this thing broken into, we'll say 4 boxes. So I'm just going to delete this for now. I literally just kind of select my rectangle tool and I draw it over. Oops. I draw over the area where I want my box to be. Okay, and I want to separate this up or break this up. And I'm just using the arrow keys on the keyboard, the up and down arrow keys. So that's kind of putting in, zoom in so you can see a little bit. It's putting in those gaps and putting in those frames. Okay, so they actually become just kind of boxes there. And now you can do whatever you want with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right.
So, you can give them a color, or you could fill them with photos, or you could, put text in or whatever you want them to do in that particular case now. So instead of drawing it 3 times, I just did it 1 time and I used the arrow keys to kind of break it up.
All right. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's literally selecting, and then we're just going to use the arrow keys to separate it up or down, depending. One will give you horizontal. The up will give you horizontal lines. The right, left will give you vertical lines. And again, they're all symmetrical, meaning it will break it up evenly within that box. Okay, because somebody will be like, what's the center of that box? Right. So if I drew this square, I'm like, I don't know what the exact center is. And it's going to take me a while to kind of draw 4 of them to get them exactly right. So if I do by just drawing and then using the arrow keys to go up and down or right to left to give me 4 symmetrical boxes, now I've got those and I can do what I want with them. All right. I can put text in there. I could put photos in there. I could take one away. So maybe I want 3, but I don't want this one over here. It's much easier to draw the 4 and then select that one, make it go away, than to try to draw 3 and line them all up and know that I'm exactly in the center. Because I know it's 8.5 by 11, but it's not really 8.5 by 11 because I've got these margins, right? And I've got a gap here. So that's really the center. That's what that box is width-wise, 3.667. Like, I don't know. And if I draw it and I realize I want a bigger gap between stuff, I just then take the gap tool and I can move it. I can shift it all the way around. Okay, so I'm just selecting on top of it. If I hold down the command key, I can enlarge it or shrink it down. Okay, and this might be a case where I want to have 2 pictures kind of touching each other. I want to have them butting up against each other. But if I don't, I can come back with that gap tool and hold the command key down when I get right in the spot. Come on, get in there. And I can enlarge it up. This gets hard. I got those things so close together. It doesn't want to work for me. Overlap those 2. Okay. So again, part of it is just kind of figuring out how can I work a little faster, a little smarter. We're dealing with a couple pages, but imagine if your job is to deal with, a magazine, right? People magazine. There's people that are literally all day long, National Geographic, this is what they're doing. They're laying things out. They're being given typically a sketch or an idea from an art director or creative director saying, hey, lay this out. I think this might work. And then they're going to get in there and try to transpose that into some digital formatting. And they can make adjustments as they go because, they're designers too. right? So you're gonna go, wow, that didn't work, or maybe I need to make a bigger gap, again, just to make things visually sound, or oh, there's too much gap. Let me kind of reduce that. So again, they're making a decision, but they're typically working from some kind of sketch to do that. Let me just show you an example what that looks like. So this is what you'll look at. Let me get the images up here. So this is a magazine layout that somebody did. So oftentimes you'll get this. It's gonna load. So you'll get these kind of quick layouts, and the X again is showing you where that would be a picture. Okay, so again, it's graphically indicating an image goes in there of some sort. Okay, and sometimes they're more detailed or cleaner. It's not loading here. Okay, sometimes they might be done a little bit more graphic, but you can see there's just the X. That's basically saying title, words, and then over here we've got an image. Okay, so just kind of showing you where they would go with that, and how many columns to kind of lay out. And it shows you there's 2 columns, but it's not a full 2-column split in the middle. Okay, there's an extra gap going on over here, type of thing. So a little bit more margin between them. So this is again very typical that you would get from your boss, your art director, creative director, or you might do it yourself. If you know, like when we do start to do projects, just to kind of lay things out. It kind of gives you an idea. This is what I'm looking for. Again, it's going to change, but again, it's a quick way of kind of working things out as to what they are. Okay, and again, you can see these, you can download these things, and you can get inspired by these layouts. And there's even books that have these kind of things that you can purchase. Okay, just to help you up, just to kind of go, oh, that's different. I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so here's a sense of there's 3 columns of text, and over here it's 2. Okay, over here's a big picture, big title, and then 2 columns of text. Okay, and that picture takes up 1¼ pages or so. This one's taking up 1 page, and then this is the second page. So these are spreads. Okay, and that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna work on spreads. Okay. Okay, so it goes typically from some kind of sketch, even very rough sketches, okay, into what we have in InDesign over here. And so maybe 3 pictures, and then there's going to be a text column. Again, we're just going to lay this out quickly, and that's where that idea of this placeholder text comes in. So it's just kind of to fill it in so you can visually see it. And then they're going to take another column of text. I'm just going to copy and put it over here. And I need to scale that down. Okay, so again, it's just to kind of see how things lay out. Okay, that works. Well, then over here, we're going to have these at the bottom. Oops. Oh, come on. And then here's going to be a big title. Okay, so then there's the big title for the magazine. Might even be bigger. Let me just move it up. Okay, so now you've got the basic layout done. And again, these could have just been shapes for that matter. We'll just kind of give them a fill. Oops. And so now you've got the start of your article. Now you've got to kind of figure it out. Okay, this is what I want. I've selected my types. I'm all good with all that kind of stuff. And then I'm just going to come back and put in the real story and the real photos. Okay. But if I want to change things, this is when you kind of do it. You know, okay, maybe when I gap this out a little bit this way. All right, that might work. You know, maybe even I want this text box to kind of be a little smaller in here, just to kind of create some visual interest. Okay, so you can fit all that in, check it through a preview. Cool, I'm digging it. All right, and now you're ready to go. You're just going to drop pictures in. Okay, and it's based upon that sketch that was done earlier while you were working. Okay, questions? Again, we're going to keep going. I don't want to overburden you with it, but I want to show you also some of the possibilities that can be done with this. Questions? Anybody? You know, layouts for today?
Yeah, I can't really think how much you're covering it pretty well.
Okay. I'll give you guys some, you know, some quick assignments. We'll do that next week. I don't want to kill you over the weekend. So I'll give you some simple things, and what I'll do is I'll try to get some stuff together for you guys, and you can just kind of work it out, just to kind of do it like even like this. Just kind of do a quick layout, couple things based, you know, kind of just like what we're seeing over here. Sketch out something, and then, you know, draw that up in InDesign. Okay, and what would that look like? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions? Oh, dude, what is this immersive view here? Can you see this? I'm going to try something. Oh, look at this. Huh? You guys can come in. It's like kind of like a, look, it's a warm Thanksgiving kind of thing.
Oh yeah, he can like replace your background and stuff with a bunch of them.
Yeah, well, this is the, it's apparently like you can do, see, now you're all in the seats of the class. And if you had your picture turned on, you'd be like me, all cool.
All right.
Look at that, huh? And I can like select you guys, call on you.
Definitely immersive.
It is, right? Is this the meta stuff they're all talking about? All the kids are talking about the meta? Ooh, spooky. Look at that. Wow. It's like opposite of what I'm doing. This is awesome. All right, we might have to go to some immersive views soon. I don't know what that's doing. It's weird when it does it backwards. Okay, just like in class. But the time's off. That would be super cool if the time worked, like on your iPhone. And I guess you guys can do the same thing, right? You can change it if you wanted to.
I'll try it out.
Can you guys
I think
change the views? Like
I
that?
think it goes off of whatever the host has selected.
Whatever I do?
Right.
Oh, okay. There we go. I'm gonna beam this up. All right. Do the stopping. Oh, it is. I'm in charge. No stop. All right. Questions? I don't know why this my normal gallery review is not showing up. All right. Questions for today? Double check and make sure I got everybody attendance wise.
I might have slipped in a little bit late. Sorry.
It's okay. We'll get you down here. Yes, got you. Yes. Hold on, almost down here. All right. Questions as we finish up? All right. I think I got everybody.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.
Same to you.
Work on the logos if you haven't. Get that to me. Start thinking about and working on your posters. I'll give you the specs on that. We'll get that up. And again, it'll be due like a couple weeks. And if you haven't already, get InDesign downloaded. Just start to do what we're doing. Just kind of manipulating, playing, building some text boxes, those kind of things, just to kind of get familiar with it. So as we keep adding things to our repertoire of things we can do in InDesign, it's making sense, right? So if you run into a problem, make a note, talk to me about it, and we'll go back over it. Okay, I don't expect you guys to get it all on the first time. Okay, I really don't. It is, like I said, it's a fairly complicated program, but once you get it, you get it. And once you start to get it, you're going to find out how cool it is, and you're going to use it all the time. All right, anything else for today?
I think I'm good. I'll see you next week.
All right, guys, have a good weekend.
See you then.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
And what will the poster be due for the what was it?
I'm looking at that. Let me just look at my calendar. I think we're gonna probably be working on like December 1st. So we're gonna have like 3 weeks or so on that.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
no problem.
All right, bye.
Bye.